it's a slow burn, right? You don't even
Yeah.
realize that you're changing and you've
Mhm.
changed. Because, like, obviously, when I was working in the school, I was getting more steps naturally, but I don't know how many steps even though I had a watch, like, I don't remember my average step count, right? So it's like,
Right.
oh, it feels like I'm moving the same, but no, you're not moving the same. And
Mhm.
people just, yes, I hear that all the time. Nothing's changed. I've changed nothing. And
Mhm.
I'm like, well,
Well, you don't
you
have a
probably
toddler
changed.
anymore, so that's a big difference. You know?
Yep.
As you move along the career ladder, right? Like, if
Yeah.
you are more like executive level, your midlife, you're probably sitting in meetings more than you were before. You were like getting
More
up and
stress.
doing other things. Yeah, you're more stressed. So it's like there are a lot of things playing a role in.
And this is
Oh,
why it's so
yeah.
important, honestly, to focus on the sleep and the stress as a foundational like skill. Let's call it a skill, sleep and stress management. Because the more stressed you are, and if you don't have those proper coping skills, that's why we see in the population we work with, right, Renee,
Yeah.
is that emotional eating aspect. We're eating because we're stressed because we don't have any other coping skills to manage that stress and to deal with that stress.
Welcome to Cut the Crap with Beth and Matt, the world's #1 no bullshit health and fitness podcast.
Are you ready to cut the crap with your diet and exercise, get strong as fuck, and build a healthy relationship with food? Then you've come to the right place.
Let's go. If you'd like to support us in the podcast, join our Patreon where you get exclusive content, which consists of monthly workouts you can do at home or at the gym, monthly challenges that are either strength, habit, or mindset based, and access to over 100 plus low-calorie, high-protein, family-friendly meals. These are all designed by a professional chef who is certified in nutrition. These recipes are already in MyFitnessPal for easy fucking tracking. New recipes are also added each week.
We believe that fitness is for everyone, so this is our way of getting you started on your health and fitness journey at a price most everyone can afford. So what the fuck are you waiting for? We'll see you in the Patreon.
Hi, friend.
Hi, friend.
How
Oh my God,
are
I'm out
you?
of breath. Good. Just like ran up 2 flights of stairs to get my AirPods and then saw a critter in the basement
Oh, no. Oh, a
or in the
chipmunk, a
garage.
squirrel,
I don't
or
know. I don't know. I just like went to the garage and like something ran under my car. And I was like,
peace out.
Immediate no.
oh, hi, Matt. I'm a little
Oh,
crazy, but whatever.
we all are, Renee.
We're all
Welcome to the
crazy in our own
fucking
way, right?
cut the crap. We don't give a fuck. So,
Welcome to the shit show, right?
yes, real
Oh,
people talking real stuff. Yeah, what do
Here
we
we
call our
are.
podcast? We're just real people, talking to other real people. So, you guys, we have Renee Bellinger. I'm so surprised we haven't had you on earlier. Honestly, that's my bad. You should have been on here like last year.
Right, right.
You know what I mean? Renee's been one of my good friends for a while in the interwebs. We've met, we've had the same courses together, and she's just such a smart person. And I just love you. You're the best. Smart,
love you too.
nice, kind, and just so, you need to be blowing up right now for reals. That's how I feel. Well, I mean, really, your content is so good. It is so good, and it helps so many people, and more people need to see it. So if you would like to introduce yourself and let everyone know what you do and all that fun stuff.
Well, I'm Renee, like Beth mentioned. I am a health behavior change coach. So I come to the field with a background in counseling psychology and really focus on helping clients create small habits to help them become consistent, like help them prioritize their health habits, achieve consistency, and finally reach their goals. And
Hmm.
I really, really focus on common boring basics,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
like everyone else does.
More
But it's
basic
like
shit.
after spending a lot of time on the interwebs lately, it's just like that is really what's needed. Like I'm so angry at the
Mhm.
content out there right now because the
Hmm.
messaging is just like, oh, everyone's broken,
Oh
but
my
yet no
God.
one's like asking anyone like if they're doing the fucking basics. And the answer is always no. Like people are not doing just the everyday things and people
Right.
are focused on these other things that don't even matter.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And the
So that's what
content
my
that's being
focus.
pushed out is like the stuff that doesn't matter. It's like fear, right? And then you're like, oh, comment on fear. And then no one has a solution for any of it besides a supplement.
Exactly. Or it's like, or okay, so this is I met with someone this week and
Hmm.
I was talking about the weighted vest whole debacle and
Yeah.
how it doesn't move the needle like you think it does. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, really?" Because like there's some days like if I can't walk with my weighted vest, that I don't walk at all. And I'm like, "See, that is what angers me about like the state of health and
Yeah.
nutrition information because
Like,
like
why the hell can't you just
people
go on a walk without it? Right?
exactly. Well, not even that, Matt. So I follow an influencer for fashion, and she recently turned, I was like late 40s. And so she's like on the perimenopause train. And
Or
it's so interesting, like,
Mhm.
as a consumer, like questioning like her health and nutrition advice. And then I'm like, well, I follow her for fashion. It's funny because I'm like, wow, she's just
Yeah.
like spitting like out like a lot of like the popular like Menno influencer thing. So
yeah.
she
Right.
has like this daily routine that's like kind of insane. It's like a lot of supplements because she's like used to be like a paleo person and still kind of is. So a lot of that stuff mixed with like the menopause stuff. So it's like a perfect storm.
Mm.
She went away and was kind of tongue in cheek, like, I kind of feel like I should bring my weighted vest with me. Now, when I tell you that people responded to her being like, girl, I do. People are walking it, bringing their weighted vests, wearing them like through like security, putting them through the conveyor belt, and then putting them in their carry-on bag. Like that is where we are as a
That's
society.
extreme. That is so unnecessary.
Yeah, and that's where we are now. I mean, weighted vests are talked about all the time. It's like this is weighted vests are nothing new. Like I
Right.
have one. It's fucking old. I wear it maybe one time to do the Murph, and actually Memorial Weekend, which is coming up. And it's like everyone's like, will you wear one?" I'm like, "No, I fucking strength train and I walk anyway. I don't need a weighted vest. I really don't."
Yeah.
No,
And then you hear the people that are like, "I feel like I need to wear one, but it's hurting my shoulders. It's hurting my back. I pulled this. I pulled that. I can't wear one now because of this." It's like not everyone should wear one. It's really for, if you ask me, the elite athletic woman.
right.
It's like for someone that actually does CrossFit, that's already lean, that already has like a high, aerobic capacity and is strong. I I just feel like it's just not
It should
the
if you're gonna use one, it's like it should complement what you're doing, and it should just
right.
serve a goal,
Exactly.
right? Like
Yeah.
general population shouldn't really be
Exactly.
worried about these things. Like you said already,
Exactly.
Renee, it doesn't
Mhm.
move the needle forward in any significant amount that just regular walking or strength training doesn't do better.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, and that was the thing. So continuing with the conversation with this woman, I was like, well, you know what really helps for bone density is like strength training and plyometrics, like jumping. And she was
Mhm.
like, really? Like, oh my gosh. And it wasn't like a really to her. It was just like, okay, this is how misguided people are. And like the
Yeah.
more I think about it, I'm gonna get fired up. Like as
Get fired up.
women,
Love it. Get fired up.
Let's go.
it's like we should be so angry at
Mhm.
like the health space in general because for
Yeah.
I'm
years,
very angry.
especially women our age, it's like we've been taught to be like our smallest self. We've been like marketed like bullshit like reps with like small weights and like
Mhm.
multiple repetitions that make you feel like you're doing something because like you're literally exhausted because you've done like 100 reps of something with like three
Yeah.
Working
pound
out to
weights,
feel
but it doesn't
exhausted. Ugh,
exactly.
why?
Mhm.
You're like, that was such
Yeah.
a great workout, but it did nothing. And
Right.
so, or we're taught to be like cardio queens. And so, for our adult life, like we've been taught to do everything to minimize like our muscle mass. And then when it starts disappearing, it's like, well, then the answer is like some supplements and some bullshit. It's like, no, it's like, someone please say, my bad, we got it wrong. We put you in a really bad situation. Like all that on and off dieting that you were doing,
We
that's the
take it
reason why
back.
you're unhappy. Yeah,
We
that's
take
Right?
the
it
reason
back,
why
but
you're
here's something
unhappy
that we
with
can
your
sell you
body
now instead.
composition.
Yeah.
And so it's like knowing what I know now, and I empathize so much because I was that woman like 10 years ago. Like I was that woman.
Mhm.
And I would, if life didn't lead me in the direction it led me, like I would could easily be like, oh my God, it's like my hormones. I need a weighted vest. Like I need to do all this stuff.
Mhm.
And it's like, no, you don't.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah, I
I know.
think
I can't imagine honestly coming into the internet now, how it's so saturated. Like me 10 years ago, like you said, like
Yeah.
I would like I'd be wearing a weighted vest. I'd be fucking, like taking all kinds of shit.
And it is ironic because 10 years, it really has come full circle. And this is really a theme that we've been talking about recently, Renee. So you came on the show at a really good time. 10 years ago was like the prime time for like diet culture on Instagram and, all of those things. And now skinny talk is coming back and rearing its ugly head, right? So it's all come full circle now. It's really crazy. Like we've been talking recently a lot about body image and being really intentional and getting dialed in and just, not comparing ourselves to others and tuning out all the others, all the noise out there. So you really are here at a great time.
I don't know, it's so hard to, and I understand it. So it's just like
Hmm.
being compassionate with people. And I think it's hard and nuanced with GLP-1s because I live in a town where a lot of people are just taking them just because, right? Like it's not
From the health
necessarily,
spa.
yes, from a med spa. And so you see people and everyone is like literally looking like a melted candle, and you're just like, "That
I
is a
know.
lot." And I have conversations with other women who live here who are more on the strength, and they're like, "It's so hard at times because you're just like, am I doing the right thing?" And, like, you question it, and so, again, not having that information or knowing what I know, I'm just thankful for life's experiences that led me to where I am now because I would have 100% fallen down that rabbit hole. Like,
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's so hard right now in society.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Especially because I believe, I mean, we've talked about this before, like women in their 40s, 50s, like going through menopause, it's like our body images. I think it's like a prime time for eating disorders and
Mhm.
things like that too, which, that's frightening. Losing more muscle and bone because of that. Because
Yeah.
I need to starve to get rid of this belly and, you know,
Yeah, they're just
Right.
exacerbating these issues that they've been creating for themselves for what decades now. I just spoke with a client earlier, 40 years of dieting, right? And struggling. And they're just now figuring it out and starting to put it together. Where all those times now with the current messaging, it's still be smaller or do these and you're
Mhm.
losing all muscle mass and things. But even for the previous decades, all these diet cycles, they were doing those things too. So it's just being repackaged. And it's just women are constantly being targeted, especially middle-aged women. They were being targeted at a younger age a few decades ago, and now it's just a different grift now.
Yeah, and it's like the same messaging, and when
Yeah.
you think about it too, when you layer midlife with, you have the weight, and then you just have the invisibility of getting older. So I think a lot of people, don't even know what drives them to do what they do, and it's more like societal's kind of message that
Yeah.
you don't matter as much because, you can't bear children or whatever, and women don't even acknowledge or know, they're not aware that it's happening, so they're holding on to that the youth that they once had. But I don't even think for a lot of women it's about how they look. I think part of it is also related to wow, I'm becoming more invisible in society.
I never really thought of that, to be honest. I never really thought like now I can't really have any children. It's like that's done.
Yeah.
That could be truly devastating to somebody.
That's heavy. That's heavy, especially if it
Yeah.
just suddenly hits you, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Like
like,
all these changes are, they're all just happening at once, and
hmm
so you feel, I'm assuming, they feel very overwhelmed,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
then you get all this sexy messaging that's coming on and helping you feel no longer overwhelmed, and it's catering to that one insecurity that you had your entire life, and so it's the solution and the problem in the same pill, really.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't really know what the answer is. It
Hmm.
just
Well, we can do what we can, right? And continue
yeah.
to just talk with actual experts and people that have lived it, experienced it, and try to try to reason with people. That's one thing we know is every week we get messages from people from our listeners like, "Oh my God, what you said has just resonated with me. I didn't even know that I was struggling with this. I didn't even know that I was being lied to and misled, and but it all makes sense. So we just have to keep putting out the good word, fighting the good fight."
Every day. Fighting
Renee,
the good
what is
fight.
it you mentioned, like, your own life experiences that have
Uh-huh.
brought you to this point. So you have a kind of a cool background there. What are some of those life experiences that have brought you to where you are now as a health coach and what you do?
Oh gosh, I feel like I've done in everything. So I feel like I'm like the anti health coach because I didn't have a fitness background growing up. I
That's
wasn't,
what makes you a
I
good
mean,
coach, honestly.
yes,
hmm
I did
Yeah.
track just because it was the way to get into college. It wasn't like, oh, I want to like be a runner. So
Uh-huh.
growing up, like I wasn't an athlete, and it really wasn't until like, I mean, really like in my college, I went to a small liberal arts college in Maine. Shout out Maine,
Oh,
and
yay.
we had to do like gym, like a gym credit, and I just didn't agree with that because I was like, I'm in college. So I don't know. I didn't even do it. And then I needed to graduate and they were like, you need to take CPR because you haven't done any gym. So when I say like I was not an athlete, like I was not an athlete. And
Mm-hmm.
in my 20s, like my body started changing and I started going to the gym for cardio and like all of this stuff and doing Weight Watchers a couple of times. And I think I probably managed my weight like that for like maybe 10 years or so, 10 or 15. And then after having my daughter, like, I just had some miscarriages, which was also probably, like, perimenopause, like, not realizing it was, like, the beginning of perimenopause, and I wanted to take control of my body. Like, I was like, "Something needs to happen," and I had fallen in the paleo, like, spiral because, like, paleo at that time, she's 14 now, could solve everything, and I
Mm-hmm.
hired a nutrition coach, and there was a lot of good things with the nutrition coach, but it was because I layered, like, my knowledge of behavior change on top of, like, her coaching. So, really, like, she would just be like, "Oh, you need to eat more protein," and I decided to, like, learn as much as I could about, like, how to gamify and add more protein to every meal. And I focused on just, like, protein for, like, I don't know, like, 3 months, 4 months, and my body
Mm-hmm.
started changing, and I was doing bar at the time and yoga because I had just moved to the where I live now, and Lindsay was, like, 3, and I didn't even it was, like, the idea of, like, finding a gym with daycare and all of that stuff was, like, so overwhelming, and I bought into that marketing, like, "Oh, bar can give you lean muscles," and I just remember my coach being like, "It's not, and would you consider strength training bringing back strength training?" And after I felt comfortable with protein, I added strength training like twice a week for 20 minutes in my basement. And then eventually, like that blossomed to 3 times a week. And then it was like, oh, I want to learn kettlebells. And I really, really fell in love with strength training and like watching my body change without doing like anything really drastic, right? I was doing something I
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed, strength training and eating in a way to fuel my body. And I lost 10 pounds, and I remember people thinking that I lost, like, 20 or 30 because the body composition was so drastic just because I was, like, building muscle again.
Right.
And I was able to maintain that for, like, I don't know, like, 7 years or so, until COVID, and then a lot of things happened in COVID, like, I was getting older, my dad slipped off the ladder and just had a series of health problems. I lost my job, decided to become a nutrition coach, like, focused on helping people develop sustainable habits.
Mhm.
And, like, as soon as I got my certification, I looked in the mirror and I was like, "Oh my god, like, I don't recognize this body anymore." And it was a combination of just being in perimenopause, COVID, stress, all of that. And
Mm-hmm.
so once I started understanding like how perimenopause affected my body, because I thought I was too young. Like I still in my late 40s thought it happened when you were 50. You just stopped having your period and you had hot flashes. So
And
I
that was
was
it.
just like, I'm
Right.
too young for this. But when I started reading more and understanding, oh, I'm in perimenopause. Oh, I really need to look at, like, all the health habits I was ignoring, like sleep and stress, and really took control of that with the same principle of, like, I'm going to apply it in a behavior change model. Like, I'm not gonna try to change everything at once. I'm just gonna focus on one thing. My life became so much better. Like, my weight stabilized. I felt better. I was sleeping better, and just recently started, like, a deficit. So, it took me, like, 2 or 3 years to really work on those habits before I even really
Took your
considered a
time.
deficit. Yeah, really took
Yeah.
my time, and also changed the way I worked out because I was going to a more boot camp CrossFit type of gym and
Mm-hmm.
realizing I wasn't recovering well. Like, it wasn't enough strength because it was split between strength and metabolic conditioning, and I'm like, "Okay, I'm going to" and I'm losing muscle mass. I could see it in the mirror, and I was like, "I'm going to try something else. I'm going to commit to, like, more strength training, longer strength sessions. Like, I'm going to move away from my community," which was really hard, and, like, go to, like, a gym. And it was, like, the first time in my life that I was really at like a co-ed gym. Like I remember
Wow.
texting my coach at the time and being like, "Oh my gosh, there are gym bros and gym gals in here." Because it was like summer and they were like the girls were wearing like the booty shorts and working out in sports bras. And I was like, what am I doing here as like a middle-aged woman? Like, but whatever, like I took up space and
Hmm.
again, it was like my love of what I was doing because I really do love strength training. And then I was like, finally, okay, I'm ready to like explore and be in a deficit
Hmm.
again. And so I just started like a fat loss phase 5 weeks ago. And, it's really nothing different than what I was doing. The biggest difference is that like I removed a snack. Like at the end of the
Right.
day, it was just like,
Uh-huh.
okay, like I'm not having this larger snack. And
Right.
I'm having a smaller snack. So
It's not that
my
complicated.
eating, it's not that complicated. And it's like I've spent the time doing the work. Like I already
Hmm.
knew how to eat like high protein. Like I know how to create balanced meals. I do listen to my body's like mindfulness cues and fullness. Like so my body is in the state to do what it needs to do like in this fat loss phase. So I
Love it.
am losing like around like a pound a week. But it's also in the beginning and I know I'm going to plateau, and that's why I have a coach because I'm gonna be, like, all crazy about it, like, because like, that's how you get, even though and we'll see, like, where it leads to, and it's not necessarily about being a certain number, it's just, like, I'll know when I know, like, we kinda have a number, a scale number,
Hmm.
but I'm just kind of like, it really depends because I know my
Yeah.
body's gonna change through this process, and so even this week it's funny because 'cause I've been hitting a lot of lows for me, and so I was surprised to see the average was a little higher than, like, I expected. So, like, the difference this week was, like, a quarter pound or something. But I was just like, that surprised me because, like, my pants are fitting better. Like, I had a bikini that I wore, like, 4 years ago, and I tried it on last night, like, just like, "Oh, let's see," and it almost fits perfectly, and I'm, like, 10 pounds heavier than I was then. And that's an
Yeah.
example for, like, women to just know that it's not about the number on the scale. Like, your body's
Right.
going to change if you strength train. I know Beth talks about this all the time.
Mhm.
So, you just
Yeah.
have
We
to,
just got
like,
to
trust the
drive that
process.
in home. They got to get away from the scale number because
You have to.
Yeah.
it'll fuck you up. And
It'll fuck you up because that's when if you're just focused on the scale, like you just said, Renee, you have that bikini from a few years ago, and you're a little bit heavier now than you were
Yeah.
then, but it's fitting better. Like your body
Yeah.
composition has changed in a positive
right.
way, more
Right.
muscle, less body fat. Like that's really what matters, and it's so hard when we're constantly having to combat this. Weight gain is the death of you, especially during menopause, the menobelly, right, and everything. It's just it's all but still, like, everything is tied to the friggin' scale.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only for women because men gain weight at the same rate in middle age, and that's
Yeah.
what's, like, so infuriating. It's like,
Right.
you don't hear men. You don't see, like, any advertisements for your, like, depleted testosterone belly or whatever.
Because men
Right.
from a
Right.
society perspective, me we don't have that expectation and pressure to be small, to be,
Yeah,
toned or whatever the look might be, right?
Yeah.
Especially, like,
right.
with, like, GLP-1s. Most of the people taking and being targeted with GLP-1s from these med spas especially, they're not men, they're women.
Hmm. And I want to talk about too that you were focusing on some habits that you wanted to get better first, like your stress
Mhm.
management and your sleep. So you can actually be in a better spot to lose fat. Nobody thinks about that. They go straight to, I want to lose fat, but they're forgetting the fact that they have so many other things that they need to figure out first. So that could be optimal.
Mhm.
Yes, and I think people don't even realize that because, like, they just think because that's all they've heard. Right, and then when you understand, like, the connection of how the fluctuations in reproductive hormones change everything, you're like, "You're right, what worked for you in your 20s and 30s is not gonna work now," because your body is, like, not functioning the same, and so it needs
Mm.
support. Like, I worked in a high school, so I had to be at work really early in the morning, and I had spent years of, like, revenge bedtime procrastination just because first I had a child, and
Mm.
then it was like, "Oh, I'm working and I'm staying up late because, like, this is my me time."
Right.
And I kinda hate my job sometimes, so, like, I don't wanna go to bed because I don't know, that will make the next day come sooner. And it took me like 2 years to undo, like, let's say 10 years of like a bad habit. And people also
Hmm.
have to understand that it takes time. Like, you didn't develop these habits overnight.
Yeah.
Like, you develop them over a course of
Likely over
years.
decades. Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
And like people just feel like, oh my gosh, like it's not working like after 2 weeks. No.
It's like, no, it's not going to.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
takes it takes as long as it takes.
Right. And
Yeah.
you just like have to trust it.
That's a
And I think that
discouraging thing to
that's,
hear.
and I've learned over time, because when I first started my business, it was like I was really discouraged because I was like working with women who were, they wanted to macro track, but they weren't ready. They were so ingrained with like the MyFitnessPal, like 1,200 calories, and they were
Mm.
approaching it like all the games that people play, choosing like the least caloric meal when you go out, like on MyFitnessPal, but it's really like 900 calories. But you're like, oh, that was only like 230 calories. I was like, girl, no, it wasn't.
Girl, no, that was the bread.
That was that was the one
That was the
ingredient.
fucking, that was the garlic toast. Where's
So
the other
And then,
part?
so you were very intentional with making these changes, right? But
yes,
you got your boring basic shit dialed in, is what
yes,
you said.
yes, comment board basics.
Mhm. Mhm.
Comment boring basic, everyone. Or comment burn. Oh, guys, you guys need to pay attention. And also, you didn't put a time limit on yourself. Like, I know everyone has this like time number by like June 21st, or, next year at this time. Or actually, next year would be a good, but it's like the number and the time.
Yeah, and like, and also being realistic, because like I said, my dad fell, and there was one point last year I was really working on habits. So like, you would love this, Matt. Like really focusing again on like mindful eating, because like it's something that
Mm.
you know how to do, or you may or may not know how to do. Like I knew how to do, but I wasn't practicing it regularly, right?
Right.
So I spent like 4 months, like, and I lost weight too, just by like eating to just about, like a 7 on the scale, right? And
Mhm.
then it's like we travel because my daughter does a sport, and I was like, this is not a good time. And
Mhm.
then my dad's health like worsened. And my plan last year was like, okay, in the summer to go back. But I knew, I'm like, this is not a good time. And I think a lot of times people look at their diets in isolation. Like they don't look at, oh, is it a season of your life where you're traveling because your kids do sports or you have a lot of business trips? Like,
Yeah.
or like, is someone sick, or do you have other priorities that take precedence over like your diet? Yes, time's going to pass anyways, but like, don't set yourself up by doing something at a stressful time.
Yeah,
Like
that
Sure.
you
too.
have to be
Seasons of
really
life.
honest with yourself.
Yeah.
It'll be
Sure.
hard
You
to stick to and
gotta
be
be aware.
consistent,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
you'll be mad at yourself for really not being able to be consistent for specific reasons.
Right, because then what
Right.
happens when
You
you're in
know.
these seasons of life where everything's just so stressful and more difficult to be consistent with, now you're just stuck in this diet cycle, right? And we
Right.
don't want people dieting for a long time. We want to
Right.
get them in, get the result that we're after, and then get out and then continue to build muscle and get fucking strong. But when we're trying to
Yeah.
constantly work against ourselves and not meet ourselves where we're at, that's where things get frustrating and discouraging, and we end up quitting for maybe a week or 2 or a month and then get back to it, right?
Right. And then you just feel badly about yourself. But you also have to be, and that's why I focus a lot on like the mindset piece with
Yeah.
people, because you also have to be like really, really honest with yourself. Because like when I signed up with my coach, I was so excited. But I also understand the stages of change. So it's like you sign up, you're excited. And then you
Mhm.
get like the packet and you're like, holy shit, what did I do? And I was like, oh my God, this deficit's so low. And it's not even low. And I was like, my mind was like playing all these games with me. And it's like, girl,
Mhm.
you're going away like once a month for like the next like 3, 4 months. Like this is a bad time. But it's like, okay, no, that's just fear speaking. And you really
Mhm.
have to trust yourself and know yourself to know when is like your brain just playing tricks on you because you're scared versus like it's really not a good time. And a lot of people don't know the difference because they haven't developed self-trust yet.
I was gonna
Like,
Right.
they
say,
don't
how does
even
someone know
tune.
the difference?
Yeah, because your brain is tricking you, right? Your brain doesn't want to change. Your brain wants to be comfortable and safe.
Yes.
So when we're trying to do these new things and change these behaviors and habits that our brain probably helped us create to protect us and keep us safe. Your brain's like, no, fucking stop that, right? And then don't do that shit.
Well, it was
It's
so
like,
funny because my brain was totally freaking out. And then I texted a friend and she was really good at calming me down. But then later she was like, oh, you've made some great mindset gains. And I'm like, well, I love my coach, but I've been like I know my mindset stuff, right? I was like, that was just me freaking out. And even she didn't understand enough. I'm like, yeah, I needed you in that moment as support. But like, yeah, no, at this point in my fat loss journey, like I got the mindset stuff now that I like calmed my brain down. But it is like
right.
hard. You're just like, oh my God.
Mhm.
Like I
Mhm.
tell Beth all the time, like, girl, that couldn't be me with your bikini cut. I'm like hungry listening to
Every
her.
day I'm fucking freaking out.
Having to call yourself out on your own shit.
Oh,
Like, stop
I'm
it,
calling
brain.
myself a fucking baby bitch every day. Quit being a baby bitch.
Yeah. Knock it the hell off.
Whatever gets me through.
Beth, I love that for you.
So
And
fun.
I had a client over that checked in with me on Monday, and she's like, I didn't eat like an asshole over the weekend." And she's like, but then she qualified that by saying, "And I'm not saying eat like an asshole to shame myself, right? Just
Yeah.
because that's what we say is
Yeah.
like, I didn't eat like an asshole. I'm proud of myself, you know. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things, calling yourself out for those things for sure.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it takes time.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Hmm. Water, walk, sleep, repeat.
It's not sexy
Hunger.
when you say it like that, Beth.
Well, I don't really have anything to talk about when people are like, so how's it going? It's like, well, I'm just literally doing the same thing every day,
Hmm.
because it's so boring and basic. I'm eating literally the same meals. I'm drinking a ton of water. I'm going to the gym. I'm getting my steps in, like there's
Yeah.
really nothing else to say.
Yeah.
And I think people are consistently looking for something to like grasp onto for some kind of a hack, and there really isn't. It's just the consistency is the hack.
Yeah, you're like, it's everything I've been practicing.
I'm doing everything that I've been
I'm just
telling you guys
dialed
to
in.
do.
Consistency is an interesting thing too, I think. And I just got a question on my stories about this yesterday. Like, I'm struggling with being consistent. And what I hear when somebody's struggling to be consistent, it's like, well, let's look at what you're doing first and foremost, right? They're probably trying to be perfect, and they have these
Mhm.
unrealistic expectations. Lose X amount of weight every week. It's going to continue to go down every week, or I'm just going to do this for a few months and be done. So that they're expecting that perfection kind of, and that's not what consistency is all about.
You're so right about that too, because everyone thinks consistency is like 100%,
Hmm.
like all the
And
time. And it's
also,
like,
it could be because they're trying to focus on their sleep, stress, and deficit.
yes,
Yes. So let's backtrack that a little bit. Thanks
Yeah.
for bringing that back up, Beth. So, why, Renee, is it important for going into a deficit fat loss? But why is that so important for us to manage the sleep and the stress, especially as a perimenopausal woman and somebody going
Hmm.
through the transition right now?
yeah. I mean, the reproductive hormones, estrogen is such a powerhouse. Like when she starts to play her little daily games,
Hmm.
like your body just doesn't operate the same. So, like your ability to self soothe is decreased, and which means that you then have to pick up the load that your body naturally would do, right?
Work
So
a little
people
harder.
might notice like an increase in anxiety,
Hmm.
changes with their mood, and you can't always lean into it. So before, like I would joke, haha, I'm a stress eater. Like I know I have stress and I'm eating, right?
Right.
And
Hmm.
however, if my body is more sensitive to stress and becomes stressed more easily, then I have to take some responsibility and manage my stress in a different way. And it's like the same thing with sleep too. It's like your sleep, if you're not getting enough sleep, then that affects your hunger hormones. It also
Hmm.
affects your mood. And I always tell clients, obviously we can't control what happens like when you fall asleep, but you can set yourself up for the best sleep quality possible by doing certain things. Like, and it depends per person, but it's like dimming the lights, reducing electronics, making sure your bedroom's cool. Cause like that's the one that gets me a lot, especially with the change in temperature. Sometimes I'm
Hmm.
like ready to fall asleep and I'm like, oh man, like we should have turned on the AC a little earlier or whatnot. Like, I mean, that's really the big one I'm working on overall because like sometimes like my bed is not like the optimal temperature, but there are things that you can do to help yourself. And even if you do have like hot flashes, making sure that you have like next to your bed, like a change of clothes, like maybe in a cooler that you can easily swap if you know you're waking up hot, like that will decrease your awake time versus like, you know, that you have hot sweats, like, and you're waking up and then you're like turning on the light, trying to find something else to sleep in. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah.
Like all of these things are things that you just need to think through and find what works for you, but also being an adult and like holding yourself accountable to your boundaries, but do
Yeah.
it compassionately. Cause I also have a 14-year-old and I can't let her stay up. 'Cause she would
Right.
like get like 2 hours of sleep. So there's some nights that my sleep is less than optimal because for me, I'm prioritizing what I need to do for her as her mom to help her learn sleep habits. So my husband wakes up earlier and I sleep in. You know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
I do what I can with what I have like every given day. And depending on what I would like as an outcome, my answer may be different from day to day. And I think that's something people don't understand either. Every trip is going to look different. You know, like some trips might be like a one of and like you enjoy it. Like some trips might be like a boring business trip and there's more that you can control. And so you really have to approach situations like based on the information you have at hand.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's so true. Yeah. And you really have to collect that data and do this for yourself and maybe even track like what works for you with your sleep. I don't know if did you have a sleep journal? Do you ever recommend a sleep journal? Things
Well, I
like
have my
that.
Aura ring.
Right. Yeah.
Aura
I
rings
have
are
mine
fantastic.
too.
I don't
I
wear
love
mine
it
anymore,
for
but
sleep data.
Yeah, and that helps me, but people don't need that, like, you can have a sleep journal. A lot of my clients, like, they don't have an Aura ring, and I don't necessarily suggest it because sometimes too much information just
Yeah.
increases your stress with it, and it took me a while to have a healthy relationship with my Aura ring. It's, like, got
yeah.
to the point where I would, like,
I
roll
love
out
that
of
you called
bed.
that out, Renee, because there's a lot of
Yeah.
research out there that our fitness trackers can actually do more harm than good sometimes when we're hyper fixating them. So
Yeah.
we're moving the focus off of maybe the scale, but now we're obsessing about our
Yeah.
stress
Well, I know people that
and our
would
sleep
not
quality.
won't work out if their ring says they're too stressed out.
Right.
And I'm like, no, my ring,
No,
if my
listen to your
ring says
body.
you're
This is
too
where the
stressed, I'm like,
mindfulness.
I'm still going to the fucking gym. Fuck this ring for that shit. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
That's
Like,
that's where you need to get in touch with your body,
yeah,
your recovery, your active recovery, and get it like
yeah,
what does real fatigue actually feel like? And does this fatigue actually need rest, or do I need to just move my ass and go work really hard in the
Right.
gym? You know,
right.
Yes. Right, and those are all the things that, like, I feel like it takes a while to
it
learn.
does.
I remember when I first joined my kettlebell gym years ago, 'cause I was so anxious, like, every single time driving there, I'd do, like, a mind body scan, like, hoping I would find a reason to turn around. It was like I wanted to go, but I was scared to go, you know? So I'd be like, "Alright, what's wrong with me today?" I was like, "Dang it,
Mhm.
nothing." But a lot of times people don't even they just, "Oh my
Mhm.
gosh, I feel anxious, I can't go. There's too much going on, I can't go." And it's like,
If
well,
you're
there's
feeling
always
anxious,
something.
that's an answer you should probably be going and exercising if you're if you're able to make time for that. That's
Yeah,
usually a good
exactly,
solution.
exactly.
Going to back to like
So
our basic skills there.
right. So, yeah, sleep journals are really helpful, and what I like to do too is I mean, I start small, I ask people to commit to 1 to 2 things that they feel that they can do and they wanna do, and so it really depends on the person, and to reflect if they have time in the morning to reflect on how they felt doing whatever they did, like, that's really
Making that part of a morning
powerful tool
routine.
too. Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah. I love the sleep
Yeah.
journal. Do you do anything like a food and mood journal or tracker or anything like that where people can, your clients or just anybody can log like, hey, this is the day I ate at these times. This is what I was feeling. These were my hunger levels, things like that. So they can track.
Yes, I do. Like, I try to do that. I don't know, you probably have more success. I feel like my clients, they're getting better, but, like, it's just really educating on why that's important and why that's more important than, like, their calorie counting, right? Especially in midlife, I feel like a lot of people, like, they say they have digestive issues, and they may, but I think a lot of times people are tied to psychologically a diet that they did in the past that had, like, took foods out, and so they have these distorted views on what they're susceptible to, and then don't even get me started on, like, gut health coaches who
Mm.
are removing crap from their diet, so I usually use that when people are like, "Oh, I have a food sensitivity." I'm like, "Okay, well, like, why don't you this is great. we're going to have this journal and then you'll have something to bring to your doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're just like, okay. And then they do it and they're like, oh, well, I guess I didn't have that
I
sensitivity.
yeah. I really appreciate you saying this, and I'm a fan. I'm an advocate of calorie tracking. I love it,
Yeah.
but a lot of times when I would start working with the client right away, they're like, "What's my calorie deficit number?" You're right, and it's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
pump the brakes here, okay?
Right.
Let's
Pump the
maybe
brakes.
spend a week observing first before we can
Yeah.
start doing anything and getting some good data to make decisions off of, perhaps. What's the rush?"
Yeah, and I even a lot of times, like, even backtrack because I am a behaviorist, so I'm like, "I want you to start with just balanced plates." Like, I wanna make sure that, like, you know how to, like, what a plate looks like. 3 plates, like, 3
Yeah,
meals, maybe 2 snacks, and start there because,
Yes.
again, like, my population, it's people who have such a disordered relationship with, like, calorie counting. So either people want to count macros or they're like, "Oh, no, I can't because it spirals me." And it's because, like, they're so used to, like, 1,200 calories.
previous attempts got them there.
Yes,
Not
yes,
the macro tracking that's bad inherently, right? It's their
exactly.
relationship with it and how they
Yeah.
used
Yes,
it in the past.
exactly. And so I'm like, "Let's just make sure you actually know, like, what a protein is, how to eat your vegetables, starchy carbohydrates." Like, don't even get me started on that. Like the CGMs for people who don't have diabetes. Like
Ugh.
every single time I post oatmeal, that's
Well,
when my engagement goes up. Like I should be like the oatmeal account because then Instagram will push
Fucking
my
oatmeal. People
content.
love to demonize oatmeal, and
dude,
it's like, "Leave
oatmeal
my
got my
oats. I don't care if you're gonna tell me it's for horses. I'm gonna eat it."
yeah, oatmeal's the goat for me right now, and it actually helped get my cholesterol
You're
down.
crushing your overnight oats right now, Nerdle.
I
You
love
are
my
crushing
my
out.
my overnight oats are clutch right now.
You added sausage. I
I
love it.
did. I already had
Put
it
an egg
made
on there.
this morning. I'm like, I'm gonna add some. I had some room for some Jones sausage. I'm like, this is perfect.
Mhm.
But yeah, people love to hate on the oats.
They do, and it's like I did a post about this a couple weeks ago. Like last year, my A1C was just starting to trend upward because I'm older, and knowing what I know about muscle, I'm spending the year focused on muscle. Right, I'm losing muscle. Muscle helps with insulin sensitivity. My doctor was like, "Oh, I also walk because you now work from home. You used to work in a school, so focus on
Hmm.
those 2 things." I ate oatmeal, I would say maybe like 7 months out of the year,
Yeah.
and my A1C went down. I maintained my weight loss, like, nothing happened, and even in that post, like, people were like, "So, but
They
I
will
have a
jump
CGM."
People will jump through hoops when you tell them like, "Hey, my A1C went down or my client's A1C went down while eating all these carbs." They're like, "Okay, but what else were they doing?" What like they jump through fucking hoops to try to justify their bias, right? To confirm their bias as to why. Okay, well, couldn't it have been the fact that they were just eating in a calorie deficit and eating more fiber and protein, right? Like that's unheard of for these people that are gut health gurus and whatever the hell they're calling each other. They call themselves these.
Yeah, like, these meno coaches who don't know crap. Like,
Yeah,
it's just, like, really privileged women selling, "Oh, you need this and this and this and that." It's like,
yeah.
"No,
Hmm.
you don't."
You also mentioned something in
Yeah.
there, Renee, about how, you're not as active now as when you were in an educational setting. And I think we know this for sure. As we age, that's a really big factor as to
Hmm.
why we gain weight as we age or we see these changes because we're not the same person we were 20 when we were in our 20s and 30s. We're not as active. We're not chasing our children around perhaps as much anymore,
Mm-mm.
right? Maybe you had a change in your career that it
Yeah.
took you from being very active to sedentary or whatever it might be. But we don't look at those things. We just look at the changes that are happening and it's just my age that's caused it, right?
Right. It's like my metabolism, I'm
Mhm.
broken.
Yeah,
It's
well,
I
your
like,
did.
"Oh."
metabolism is because you're moving 3,000 steps a day when you were doing 8, right?
The thing that gets me is like, I haven't changed a thing. It's like, you mean to tell me nothing? Nothing between like your 25th year life and your 40th year is different? Get the fuck out of here. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's
That's when you need to
bullshit.
be real with yourself, and some
Everything is
people are ready for
different.
that.
Yeah, and I think with some people, it's like I like to say it's a slow burn, right? You don't even
Yeah.
realize that you're changing and you've
Mhm.
changed. Because, like, obviously, when I was working in the school, I was getting more steps naturally, but I don't know how many steps even though I had a watch, like, I don't remember my average step count, right? So it's like,
Right.
oh, it feels like I'm moving the same, but no, you're not moving the same. And
Mhm,
people just, yes, I hear that all the time. Nothing's changed. I've changed nothing. And
mhm.
I'm like, well,
Well, you don't have a
Probably
toddler
change.
anymore, so that's a big difference. You know?
Yep.
As you move along the career ladder, right? Like if
Yeah.
you are more like executive level, your midlife, you're probably sitting in meetings more than you were before. You were like getting
More
up and
stress.
doing other things. Yeah, you're more stressed. So it's like there are a lot of things playing a role in.
And this is
Oh,
why it's so
yeah.
important, honestly, to focus on the sleep and the stress as a foundational like skill. Let's call it a skill, sleep and stress management. Because the more stressed you are, and if you don't have those proper coping skills, that's why we see in the population we work with, right, Renee,
Yeah.
Renee, is that emotional eating aspect. We're eating because we're stressed, because we don't have any other coping skills to manage that stress and to deal with that stress. And when we're more stressed, right, that's when that big C word comes about, and people are talking about the cortisol, like it's the cortisol belly and all of that stuff, right? Well, if you worked on your sleep hygiene and your stress management, that wouldn't be an issue. You're going to be able to regulate your hunger, right? Our ghrelin and our leptin
Yep.
responses and things like that. So it's, I don't know where I was going with that, but
No, you're like, it's all connected, people.
it's
It's
all
all
freaking
connected.
connected. Yeah,
Yes.
it really is.
And
Yeah.
there are skills that you can use, as you know, to manage your emotional eating. But again, it takes time. Like
It does.
just because like someone says like these are the skills, you're gonna have to find the ones that work for you.
Right.
And then you're gonna have to like practice them. And it might be
Yeah.
6 months to a year. But
Hmm.
like even if that's the one thing you focus on, you might find yourself in a calorie deficit. Like if you're used to like emotionally eating like once a week or even like a couple times a month, and it's like that could clearly put you in a surplus, right? So
For
Yeah.
sure.
even
Even if it's just
focusing on
once,
that.
because
Yeah, exactly. It's like there's no connection. You're usually like zoomed out. You're like, ooh.
Yeah.
thousands of
And
extra calories, there goes your
yeah,
deficit.
exactly.
Yeah.
You've actually spoken about emotional eating at one of our webinars for our clients for Team
Nice.
BFF, and you had some great tips. I don't know if you want to share with others here. Renee has some awesome tips on emotional eating since we're talking about it. I know a lot of people struggle with it. Do you have any in your little back pocket that you can share?
Well, of course I do.
Oh,
Well, I
awesome.
think
Let's
the
go.
first is
Yes.
the power of the pause. And
Mhm.
that is really based on urge surfing. The fact, if you envision your emotions like a wave or your urge to eat like a wave, right? Like it's going to crest and then you'll land at the shore. Landing at the shore is like the urge subsides. And research says about like 15, 20 minutes for the urge
Right.
to subside. So if you practice pausing, it really doesn't matter what you do after the pause. It's just learning to break that automatic connection
Mhm.
That
between
autopilot.
your desire to eat and like you actually eating. It's teaching your brain that it doesn't have to be automatic. So what I tell people all the time is like don't worry about like what happens, but like start where you are and try like a minute, 2 minutes, and then ask yourself, do I still want that? And if so, like eat it mindfully. Again, I really stress like the pausing versus like what happens after. So that's like
Right.
Agreed.
one of my favorite strategies. And connected with that too is halt, like asking yourself like what's going on. And
Mhm.
I mean, I do like halt, but like there could be so many other things going on, but it just gives you a start. Like, are you hungry? Are you angry? Are you lonely? Are you tired? Like, and then address that need,
Yeah.
right? Like instead of like if you're hungry, like actually eat a real meal.
Right.
If I'm hungry, like, right, like if you're using the halt skill and you're like, am I actually hungry? Yeah, I feel hungry. Okay, what food is going to satisfy that and still help me feel good afterwards? It's not going to be the potato chips, right?
Yeah,
That's a really big
exactly.
component of like mindful eating. I think people don't understand. If I just mindfully ate, I would want pizza all the time. No, it's about giving yourself the foods that you actually fucking need.
Right.
Yes, right, exactly. And if you do, going back to my college years, mindfully eat, oh, let's say Frosted Flakes because like your parents didn't allow you to have them, you get to the point where you're like, this is gross, right? Like you'll get to the
Absolutely.
point
Yes.
of like, if you feel like, oh, I'm going to mindfully eat pizza, you're going to hit a wall where you're not going to want pizza anymore, right? You're like, it's not going to fill you in the same way. Because if you're thinking, oh, I need the pizza, it's because you're restricting pizza. And
Yeah.
so
You don't
that's
get that
what's
same
happening.
reward being triggered, right?
Exactly, exactly, and it's like once that connection is severed, like, you're not going to reach for it as often. So that's, like, my favorite one, and Halt's a great one with kids too, like, just
Yeah.
because, I don't know, like, my daughter is, like,
It's
very
emotional
much.
regulation.
Yeah, exactly, and it's
Mhm.
like, so are you really telling me you're hungry? Like, what's going on? Like, well, do you want like a banana or something? And she's like, no. I'm like, oh, I don't think you're really that hungry. She's like,
Mhm.
"Hmm."
I want Doritos. Okay, well,
Yeah, basically.
you want something
Yeah.
that's gonna help you feel that tastes good
Yeah,
instead of light things up.
exactly. So that's like another one. Also reminding yourself, and this is like more advanced, like in terms of like your thoughts, not to let your thoughts bully you, right? So thoughts
Mhm.
aren't facts. And if you notice a thought, like asking yourself whether or not that thought is helpful to what you're trying to accomplish. And if the answer is no, asking yourself, like, well, what could be a thought that will help me?
Yeah.
So, my biggest gripe is like a lot of times you'll see on social media, like people just be like, oh, like this mantra will help you. Well, it's not if it doesn't resonate with the person. So, really doing the work of helping people or empowering people to come up with mantras that will work for them.
Yeah. I love how you said that, especially at the beginning, is like there's going to be multiple skills, and the skill that maybe the skill we're talking about right now might not work for you. So it's really about having that diverse emotional tool belt. It's not a one
Mhm.
Yes.
size fits all thing, and I think that's really what, especially when it comes to mindful eating, is that's why I think people get discouraged from it because it's not black and white, and you really have to get to know yourself
Yes.
Yeah, it's
and
like
what you
you
need,
have
what your
to
needs are.
understand like your hunger cues. Like a lot of people don't even realize like when they're hunger and when they're full because like they're so used to ignoring that. Like
Yeah,
they've
stop telling your
ignored
hunger to fuck
hunger.
off, please. Like, honor it and eat a balanced meal, please, and you'll be surprised by what happens.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Beth and I were talking about that yesterday because we were talking about like influencers who are living in a state of like under eating. And it's like
Mhm.
they're probably hungry. They don't even realize it because like their body is just like, oh, I give up.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love the discussion that Beth has been having lately about that because it's so true. Seeing people walk around, especially women walking around shredded like that year
Yeah.
round, not fucking healthy, and they're
Mhm.
giving the people we're trying to help such unrealistic expectations and
Yeah.
unhealthy relationship with
Yeah.
their own bodies.
It's
Yeah.
just not fair. It's not fair because,
That's a good way to say
women
it.
are desperate, and I'm not as hard as what I'm doing is, it's almost like my reasons for doing it are kind of changing.
Now
Like
you're
Yeah.
I was doing it for like, yeah, let's do this for the photo shoot. This will be fun to do with the team. To like, I'm doing this to show women they can do anything at any age. And now I'm doing this to show you what it takes
like how
to
fucking
get
hard it is.
severely
Yeah.
lean, like these people that you see consistently living like this. So it's kind of morphed into
And I
different.
love that, Beth, because that's the
Yep.
other side of the spectrum that we don't see, right? With
Right, right.
Reddit influencers, we don't see their day to day. We don't
No,
see their
No.
potentially disordered behaviors, how they're silencing hunger, not listening to their hunger cues, and all
not
these.
eating sugar,
Right.
not eating certain foods, not eating out, like very regimented,
Not eating
like,
fruit.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
really little mini meals all day. They can show me that they're strength training in the gym, but they're still disordered. And if you have such definition, thick skin, thin abs, there's something going on. I know this. It's like it's especially if like everyone here, we're trained, we're
Yeah.
nutrition coaches. We know how calorie deficits and science
Yep.
and nutrition work, right? When you see someone that lean, you're like, you question it
You're like red
because
flag.
it's very
Yep.
hard to get there and stay there, and we know this,
It is. And that's
especially in your
why,
50s.
yeah.
Yeah, especially.
And women even more so are more sensitive to getting really lean like that, right? Because of the impact that has on your hormones for
Yeah,
women.
Mhm.
I mean, it's not healthy for men to be walking around sub 10% body fat
Yep.
either year round.
right.
But for
Yeah.
women, it's more like below 20%. I don't know
Yeah.
what dick skin thin is, I guess, for women, but
Well,
but
Beth will find out for us.
I'll
yeah,
let you know,
she'll let us know.
and I'll pull it for you.
Mhm. But then, right when we're trying to get that lean, our hormones aren't being regulated. That's another thing. Is my hormones are out of whack? Well, it's because you're not eating enough fat. You're not eating enough calories. Like that's really the solution to your problems is to just fuel your body. And I love you said at the beginning, Renee. You talked about fueling your body,
Yep.
and if we shifted the focus from fueling our body to honestly neglecting our body, which is what a lot of people are doing in the approach that they take, right? With just going low calories and trying to do it as
Mhm.
quickly as possible. That's neglect. That's not nourishing.
Right. And then the answer will be like, "Oh, well, your nervous system isn't regulated."
Mhm.
Like, well,
When's the last time you had a balanced meal? Huh?
yeah, basically.
1985? Are you going straight to coffee in the morning? Well, that's probably not going to help things either. It's these habits.
Yeah.
I
Espresso for breakfast, too many muffins for a snack,
Yep.
mhm,
you know,
mhm.
Yeah.
and then dinner.
With emotionally eating,
Mm.
what are your thoughts on this, Renee? Do you feel like there's a time and a place to emotionally eat?
Well, yes, because it works.
That is one coping mechanism, but it shouldn't be the only,
Yes.
right?
Right, right. And I mean, there is a time and a place. And I think it's also important to realize that like emotional eating, we always associate it with like negative emotions, but like
Yes.
it's also like having the cake at a birthday party, like which is
Yeah.
a celebration, right?
Mm,
So the word gets demonized a lot and it works because like it does, like we get the dopamine hits and things like that. But it's also being honest with yourself, incorporating mindful eating and stopping, and knowing that sometimes it's going to happen and it's going to be okay. Like everything is so nuanced. And I feel like that's where I struggle with social media the most, like as a creator and
Yeah.
also like looking at content because there's so much nuance with every single thing.
but nuance
Right.
doesn't reach people. Nuance doesn't is
No,
how you like
no.
nuanced
And that's how
videos
you
that provide context don't fucking go viral. They don't reach people, but the big bold claims that are you're fucking yourself up because of your morning coffee or run or whatever it is,
yeah.
like that's gonna sell.
That's
Yeah,
how you can tell red flags if
Yeah.
someone is speaking in absolutes, you guys. So,
Black and white. And
yeah.
fitness
there's a
industry
lot of nuance to a lot of
so
things.
black and white.
Right, right. And to with emotional eating too, it's like knowing that again, it's like each situation, it's like what's your goal? And it might change from like time to time, right?
Yeah. Totally.
Or is there a way to like decrease it? So like if I'm working on a project, like I usually like a salty, crunchy snack, right? Pour it into a bowl, like pour a serving into a bowl and like
Hmm.
just have that.
Yes.
Don't eat out of the bag, don't eat out of the box. And you'll know, like, okay, these are my cues. And one thing I like to say to clients too is like, especially towards the end of coaching, it's like, okay, what are the clues or what are the cues that you're falling back into like your older habits?
Mm.
Why don't you start considering that now when you're coaching so we can like make some plans for that
Mm,
so that okay, this is like when I need to be more intentional about my actions and not be on autopilot because like I am falling back into older habits.
mhm.
Yeah.
Love that. Love that.
Yeah.
Going back to that power of the pause, like
Yeah,
that really is a foundational skill.
it is.
Just having that ability to create that momentarily pause, slight pause, and creating distance. I like to have them take a physical step back while they're pausing too,
Oh,
whatever it
that's
might
a good
be. It doesn't
idea.
even need to be something in front of
Hmm.
them. Just
Yeah,
kind of creating some physical space too to add on to that.
Yeah.
yeah. And I mean, this has nothing to do with the pause, but maybe will help with emotional eating too. It's like everything doesn't have to be like so fucking visible in your house, right? Like, so
Right.
it's like if you have kids and they have snacks, put them in a drawer where you don't easily see them,
The food off
Like,
the cupboard,
Hmm.
or
yeah,
the countertop, or replace the snacks on the countertop with some
yeah,
fresh fruit and
yeah,
Yeah.
foods and things like that, right? Out of sight, out of mind. If you're constantly
right.
walking through the kitchen like a lot of people are, I did this the other night. I'm gonna call myself out here. I was at the end of the night and Sarah needed me to go get something from
Hmm.
the living room, and then she forgot something else. I need to go back and get something from the kitchen. Well, I ended up having to go back into the kitchen 3 times, and 3 times I passed by this muffin that I was thinking about all night. Well, guess what I did? On the 3rd time, I'm like, "You know what? I'm gonna have the fucking muffin because it's just calling me right now." So because it was right there on the counter,
Right.
I saw it
It was
every time
fucking
I passed.
calling you.
It was, and I was like, "You know what?
Let's come
This great I'm
here.
not gonna stop thinking about this fucking muffin until I have it." So I had it, but I didn't beat myself up about it. I wasn't
Right.
guilty, didn't shame myself, and I'm not trying to lose fat right now, so, like, I can have a muffin and
Yeah.
400 calories what it was or whatever, and be fine,
Uh-huh.
so but
Yeah. And I
because
think,
it's
yeah,
that
people,
temptation, you wanna remove those temptations.
right. And people don't realize the impact of their environment, right? So it's like your environment can be just like the way you set up, like where the food is in the house, right? Especially if you suffer or food noise is really hard for you to navigate. It's like just not seeing it, not having it as visible
Yeah,
makes it so much easier. And people don't even think about that.
I love
Yeah.
that you connected the food noise there because a lot of
Yeah.
times our food noise, right, and that's such a wildly
overblown term.
diverse, big term that can cover anything. But a lot of times our food noises, we're giving it to ourselves because of our environment, like you said, or we're not
And dieting all the time.
dieting all the time. We're
Yeah.
not eating balanced meals. We know it's from a clinical perspective, working with clients, and then from a research perspective too. When we start adding in balanced meals, guess what happens to that quote unquote food noise? It shuts the fuck up. It quiets. It quiets down.
Yeah, and it's just like,
You said
Oh,
something
I
earlier too
have
about
food
like
noise. I have food noise all day long right now.
I'm sure you
you
do.
definitely do, Beth.
I literally think about every fucking meal that's coming next.
And I love that, Beth, because when we were together in Florida, you were describing what you were going through. I was like, that's food noise. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, that is, huh?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it's self-imposed, but yeah.
Yeah, I would have a party going on in my head, girl.
Yeah.
You also mentioned, I know we're running out of time here, but this is a really good talk here.
Yeah.
The negative talk, right? And one
Mhm.
thing that I like to do is give that voice a name when Carl, right, is being a dickhead and saying these unkind things to me. Like, shut up, Carl. You don't have fucking power here anymore, dude.
Oh no, you're now the new Carl.
Keto Carl, right, was responsible for me doing 5-day fasts in the past to try to lose weight.
Oh,
Keto
man.
Carl has no control over me and my decisions anymore, right? So I give it a name, and now it's like takes the control back.
Oh, I like that. I
Yeah.
like giving them a name.
Yeah,
I'm like,
him,
ooh, I have to
him or
think
her.
of my name.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, who's my alter ego, would you call it? I don't know.
Oh boy, we'll have to come up with a name.
Sylvia.
What'd you say, Olivia?
Sylvia?
Fucking Sylvia.
Sylvia? Because we all have that
Oh.
noise. We all have that inner critic. So I feel like
Yeah.
that just helps you take the power back.
It's interesting because someone was messaging me about the scale, and because I did a story about scale neutrality. And I've had this conversation or variation of this conversation with a couple of women recently about like, they know that like the choices they're making is based on like messages from like their mother, but they know those messages aren't good messages anymore. And so we talked about taking that and like asking, is it helpful, and like writing something else? But it's also, that's the same thing, right? Like, okay, well, name it your mom. Like, if you know that that's no longer serving you,
Yeah.
you have the power to do something about it.
Yeah.
Because if you're aware, that's amazing. A lot of people aren't even aware of like their negative thoughts
That's
or
literally like the
the
first step of
influences.
behavior change is
Yes,
awareness,
it's
right?
like being aware. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Can't change something if you're not aware of it.
exactly.
hmm
Yeah,
hmm
absolutely.
Amazing.
Renee, this has been an amazing conversation. I could talk to you for hours.
I know.
It's
I
taken
love
us
you.
a
I
long
feel the
time to get her
same.
on the show. We both
I
talked about having
know.
her on before, but how about like we
She's been
definitely need to
denying
do it
being
again.
on the show for years, guys. No,
Yeah, we need to do it again and not wait as long this time.
I know we should definitely do it again for sure. If you're
Awesome.
down,
I
we
love
could do we
talking
can
to
do
both
a
of you.
part two, part
Yeah.
dose. Where can people reach you if they want to follow you, work with you, find you?
Everything is so easy. Coach Renee Bellinger. So my name, that's my Instagram handle. Well, my TikTok is kind of dormant right now, and my website. But I mostly live on Instagram and my website. Sometimes TikTok if I feel like I can handle another social media.
You're
But I
meeting
don't know how
yourself
you
where
do
you're at,
multiple of
right?
them.
You're not trying to do
Hmm?
too much.
Yes, exactly. I'm
I
practicing what I
resonate with
preach.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll have all this information in our show notes
For
as
sure.
well.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, Renee.
Oh, thank you for having me. It was fun.
Yeah, it's
It
so
was good
fun.
seeing both of you.
Great time.
You too. All right. Take care.
All right. Bye.
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 Hope you enjoyed this episode, so why not share with a friend who needs to hear it? Send us a DM on Instagram or email us at cutthecrappod@gmail.com and join our Patreon at patreon.com/cutthecrappodcast. As always, we appreciate you and thanks for being here.